All right, we're back. It's the Tasty Crypto Show. I'm Ryan Grayson. With me today, of course, we've got Shelley, Van, and Dan in the house, in the cave. Dan, welcome back, my friend.
It's good to be back. I'm really excited to be here. I missed a lot last week, it seems, so I want to break that down and, figure out what the move is, because I was convinced it was Uptober. But last Friday, it didn't seem like it was. But I don't know. We've rebounded a little bit. So, I just want to break that down.
That's what we were told, Shelley. Uptober.
Was it a lie?
I don't know. That's the question today. Is it over? We're going to jump into that in just a second. But before we do, get over to the Tasty Live YouTube channel. Pop out the chat. Type some crazy shit in the chat. Or maybe more so, type congratulations to Dan because this young man just got married.
Look at that ring.
That jewelry's looking nice on you.
It's gold, so
shining.
Price gold's up.
Nice.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you have to sell it, you can get a better price today.
I hope we... Fingers crossed.
That might be worth something
Yeah.
soon. Congratulations to Dan on his marriage. All right. Now that that's out of the way, is Uptober over? Oh, there you go. Sound effects.
Is it?
I don't know. What do you guys think? We got the performance dashboard. We're going to take a look at the bounce in markets. I think by now everybody has probably read the 1,000 headlines around the mass liquidations, biggest ever in the crypto markets. Of course it's volatile. We forgot for a moment. We forgot for a second that you could get a tariff tweet at any time, or like I don't know if it's a true social message that turns into a tweet. I don't know where it all originates, but I'm not on Truth Social, so maybe I'm not really getting the alpha if that's where it starts. But Trump moving markets, of course, on Friday. And then I think at the worst time ever, after the close, and you get some of those kind of liquidation levels into the weekend, things are a little bit thinner than they would be otherwise from a liquidity perspective. We got that second tweet, that second shoe that drops, and all hell broke loose for a moment. So you were getting married, I think, at the time.
I was driving home.
You were driving. Markets were crashing in some cases 50+%, depending on what you were tracking. Before we get into it, did anybody step in and buy the dip? This goes out to the chat as well. Any big trades? It took some guts to step in there, but you saw some prices too, where if you're long-term bullish in this, it's like, wow, that looks to be a little extreme. What'd you guys do? Any activity on your end?
Well, I told everybody last week that my dad is now a Tasty trader, and he had funded his account, and it was just sitting there. He was waiting for me to get him into crypto. So I went bulldozing into his front door, and I said, it's time. And so, yeah, we bought the dip pretty big.
Beautiful. What were you buying?
A little bit of Bitcoin, a lot of Uniswap,
Okay.
which has proven to be an incredible...
I saw Uniswap go to like $2. I don't know, maybe for a second.
I think it wicked
Where'd you get it at?
568, I think.
Nice trade. Okay.
Yeah, so he's up quite a bit. Got him a little bit of XRP, I think some Solana.
Okay,
But
yeah,
he's,
Solana traded into like the low 180s. I was able to buy it there, fortunately. I sold out of some of it on this move.
Yeah. So,
Doge went to like 15, 16 cents.
Did prices stay there, or
No.
was it pretty? It was just a wick down, wasn't it?
pretty swift.
I was coming back from, I think, getting a haircut like in the afternoon, texting with my brother, a couple other guys here at Tasty Trade. And it just basically it's like, okay, the liquidations are coming. Because these guys aren't really familiar with how some of this stuff trades or what happens at times. And oh my God, were the liquidations coming. I haven't seen anything like that in a very long time, maybe ever. But Dan, it was like, all day, obviously there was some weakness. But you saw ETH go from like 4,000, let's say, at the time to 3,500.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And then instantly right back up. you're trying to get your bid in at 35.50, chasing, like just trying to hit the mid. And it was moving, of course. But, that was maybe the least of it when you look around at some of the other tokens. Like Shelley said, got Uniswap at $5. It's trading at $7 right now. So some nice moves, nice bounce back. I mean, in hindsight, we're a little bit more joyous, but anything could happen. But yeah, I mean, looking backwards, it's been a pretty good trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at October 9th, 2025, total liquidations in the futures markets. We're looking at $16.7 billion worth of long liquidations were wiped out. Interestingly, hyperliquid, which we've covered a little bit, 9.3 billion of liquidations, Bybit 4.3 billion, Binance 1.4 billion in liquidations. So yeah, it got hit pretty hard, but I don't know, despite that, we're still at 115,000. So it's kind of, I don't know, quick rebound. These things usually get these cascading liquidations, people step in and buy. So
you tend to see these V bottoms when you have these flash crashes. And I think that's the best way to describe this. This was a flash crash, function of market structure, less really selling related to some sort of event risk, and certainly not tariffs, right? At least as it pertains to crypto specifically, in terms of the asset class and volatility you might experience. Obviously there's that headline risk, but I mean, come on. I tweeted about this, and I don't know. I'm surprised. I'll put it this way. I'm surprised the market still goes down as much on some of these. And maybe it was that everybody, when crypto was levered up, we had a relatively low volatility kind of period for some time. At all-time highs, you get that pullback and things like the NASDAQ and elsewhere. But I'm just surprised that we still fall for this stuff.
So I didn't really track. I mean, I was kind of logged off, so I guess I saw it kind of go down a little bit and then didn't see it until it rebounded. So I was like, okay, it must have been a flash crash. But if I look at the BVIV, which is the Bitcoin Volmex, Bitcoin Implied Volatility Index, it shot up to like 50%, and it had been trading at like 30% for a while. So I do think, yeah, back in, let's see, October 6th, it was trading at 39. October 9th, it spiked to 57. So we did get that volatility spike. And, I feel like that was coming for a while. If we looked at the April lows, which was another, what was it? The April low was like the tariff unwind or tariff trade. And then wasn't there like a Japanese yen unwind or some carry trade unwound?
Yes, yeah, over a year ago. But
yeah,
Liberation Day
in
April.
Was that it? Liberation
the
Day.
Flashcards and the
tariffs
on everything.
And then we have been just in up only since then until Friday. So yeah, I mean, it's worth it to have some limit orders in at some point, I think.
All-time highs on Monday and 102 spot price in Bitcoin by Friday. Gotta love these markets. Guys, I want to jump into the slides now. We've got a couple of performance dashboards, maybe try to put some things in context and then look at some other trades and maybe some ideas here in the market. But we started this off a couple of weeks ago talking about the seasonal performance that tends to show up in crypto and in asset prices, asset markets, generally speaking, tends to be a decent time. We looked at returns and we discussed the seasonality in the fourth quarter and specifically October, where for whatever reason, historically Bitcoin's gone up, hence Uptober. But you get these moves in the past week and it kind of makes you rethink everything. So let's talk about whether or not this is over. I'm curious to get your thoughts and where you guys are. But before we do that, let's take a look at the performance dashboard. So very quickly, a couple things to call out here. We track price momentum across daily, weekly, and monthly timeframes using exponential moving averages. 3 different moving averages. When they cross over, they give us a signal. Pretty straightforward approach, but it keeps us on the right side of the trend. Bitcoin has gone from bullish to neutral. If you recall a week ago, last Monday when we did Options Trading Concepts Live, it was green everywhere that you could see. We've shifted a little bit. Bitcoin is neutral, and you've got a bearish, and I apologize, this should be bearish for Doge as well. But you have bearish signals, at least short term, across everything else. Maybe no surprise given some of the volatility that we've experienced. That said, what I will point to is in terms of the trend, 3 month in there, still positive performance, right? That can change. That's on a rolling basis. But when we just look at today, what's the trend look like? How do we measure this in a 3 month period? Still positive territory. And then year to date versus Bitcoin, ETH's up 4% on a relative basis, XRP and Bitcoin Cash. And then here's that explosion in volatility as well. Just a week ago, these were much, much lower. And you can see that when we look at those IV ranks too. Bitcoin's implied volatility rank, to your point, Dan, is at a 3 month high and trending higher here off the lows, ETH a little bit higher.
I mean, I feel like in these markets, there's always sort of this volatility. So I don't know. I don't think it's over, but I think things are getting a little out of whack in some ways. Meme coins got killed. Altcoins got killed. So
although Punk Strategy didn't really. It's hanging in there.
Yeah, because that has. I feel like that has a bid. That has like an infinite bid.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say all of them.
Some of these like narrative-driven sentiment coins, like
right.
Sure. Zcash is another one. I know we don't offer this, but it randomly shot up.
Yeah, I've seen that Zcash has been up quite a bit. Monero too has been another outperformer. Some of these privacy coins.
Yeah, privacy coin. This was like a narrative I was hearing about months ago, and it finally kind of popped off. I mean, I wouldn't be holding Monero at all, but Zcash might not have been a bad trade. BitTensor went up too.
Yeah, that one has worked well. What was interesting about this, and Shelley and I did beans in your absence, and we noted at the time that, this is 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Central Time. BitTensor, symbol is Tau, T-A-O, for anybody that's following along. It was up about 12%. Pushing into the 400 level prior to the tweets and the carnage in the markets. And then it flash crashed to 200. So I was able to buy, fortunately, a bit underneath 300. And it's nice to see that bounce back up towards 4 now. I still think that it's one that over time trades a lot higher, in my opinion. But yeah, that's another one that's had a nice rebound. And I think, that probably to some extent speaks to, again, just the short-termism of this move and the deleveraging that really occurred here. I don't think this is related to some outlook on the global economy or the impact of tariffs or a trade war between the U.S. and China. Certainly that's going to introduce some volatility and you're going to see some risk-off moves. But I don't think that's at all what you're seeing impact crypto here. And I think that's, again, evidenced by just how hard some of these have bounced back and in some cases are trading at higher prices than they were pre-tweet, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think crypto's a smaller market. Things get overheated. You can get 100x leverage pretty quickly. These things happen. And even with this crash, what do we touch? 105, 100 on Bitcoin?
Yeah, it traded down into about 102 for a quick second.
Yeah.
But you pretty much got right back to 110, which was within that one standard deviation move we're looking at.
Now, I did see that Binance had some issues with their order book, or
I think everybody did.
Yeah.
When this sort of volatility showed up, unfortunately.
Which happens.
Happens in the TradFi markets too.
Right. But the thing that becomes an issue, I think that Athena depegged, which Athena for a while I think has been looped, leveraged, deposited in DeFi, whatever. So I do think the stablecoin Athena USDE depegged a little bit. Where it becomes an issue, or where you could see some sustained down move though, is you continue to get these liquidations down, right? It rebounded pretty quickly by I don't know. I forgot what time on Friday. It was after the market closed, after traditional markets closed.
Yeah, into Sunday. Once eventually you got the other tweets that were inevitably coming, in my opinion, where it's like, oh, we're Xi Jinping is a great guy. We're smoothing things over. Stuff, hopefully we can come to an agreement. They got JD Vance on TV. Right. I mean, by Sunday, you could tell in the crypto markets, they were kind of front running where the open was going to be, and then a huge update today in the market.
Right. Now, what's interesting too, I don't know if you saw this, but there's this account, Look On Chain. It's a Twitter account, and then there's some other Nansen, some of these like on-chain data analytics companies. They noted that a big seller came into Hyperliquid and some of these dexes, and they brought some crazy amount of Bitcoin, like a couple $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they started shorting Thursday or like Wednesday or Thursday before, from like a new account, and so there was speculation that it was somebody in the know, that some tweet was coming. So it's just sometimes these markets.
I think since then the account holder has been doxxed, and it is seemingly tied to a crypto CEO, a CEO of an X firm, maybe has a lot more than that. Decent timing, but I don't know if there's anything there. But I would argue that somebody always knows something.
Yeah. So
it's true of all markets.
Right. Right.
But interesting to see the timing of that trade. Great trade, right?
I mean, I feel like that always happens, and then in hindsight, it's like, oh, somebody must have known something, and it's like, yeah, maybe, or there's probably
hate the player, hate the game. I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, looking at the game, guys, really quickly, weekly expected moves here. Given the increase in volatility, you're looking at about a $7,000 move in Bitcoin, a little bit over $400 in ETH, and almost a $30 move in Sol. It's a decent move in Sol from where we were. If you recall, we were looking at $15 to $17 moves. Now, well over 10% of the underlying price. Same thing, about a 10% move when you look at the ETH move on a 1 standard deviation versus the price of ETH. Not quite the same when we look at Bitcoin, but almost a $7,000 move, a larger move than what we've seen, but still well within the range that we've been trading. And the way that this sold off, it certainly wasn't orderly at the time, but took us to levels that if we were going back over the last couple of weeks, pricing in where vol and spot prices were, and it's a very simple approach, but it helps with just giving you some framework. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but you're just calculating 1 standard deviation range based on those variables. And we're trading, I would say the behavior of the market is well within what we might expect, right? In terms of this trading activity or the price action that we're seeing, taking us down to 108. Now, are you going to go 116, 105? Sure. But, still pricing 122,000 on the upside. New all-time high would be just north of, I think, 126. So we'll see how this trades throughout the rest of the week. But again, not some extreme move lower where you didn't bounce and there's this huge rise in volatility. Volatility has picked up. But again, implied vol here of 39% off of those highs that you mentioned, Dan, but realized vol of 42%. This is still low by many historical measures, even though we had a huge move, at least when we look at Bitcoin. The others are, sure, 100, we're like at 120% vol in SUI, which gets you a 50-cent move on a $3 underlying now. That was another one. That went to 50 cents, Dan.
Really? Did you get any?
No, I was just looking to buy some ETH at 3,500 at the time. It was just moving so quickly, and you can only buy so much or trade so much at once. And in hindsight, these were all flashes, though. Flash down, and once those levels were liquidated.
Do we even think people got, that's what I mean, you don't even know.
Tough to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, right, so you flash down to 50 cents in SUI, buyers show up in size. I don't think that there's, a consistent offer at 50 cents, 55 cents. It probably reset really quickly.
Right.
I think we basically traded back up to kind of 250 and kind of trended or traded higher from there.
Yeah.
So looking around elsewhere, just a quick check of Bitcoin market cap dominance. Same thing you saw here. I mean, as everything just got absolutely smoked for a second. BTC D went up back into the 60% range, has pulled back a little bit here. ETH, Bitcoin, on a trend basis, ETH is still outperforming. Solana is still outperforming Bitcoin over the last few months. We saw that with the year-to-date, relative performance too. I will note that Solana is underperforming ETH as of recently. Given the volatility in here, those things can change in an instant. But kind of when I look at this, the takeaway for me is if I'm going to buy one or the other right now until that changes, I'm probably going to be a little bit more overweight ETH versus Sol, at least at the moment. I still think, though, Bitcoin leads the recovery here. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about that? Because Tony asked me on the show earlier today, you look out through October, and I think one question was, are we higher at the end of October? So I want to get your answer there. But then, do you see Bitcoin lead here, or do these others bounce back first?
Go ahead.
I'm hitting you with the hard questions.
Yeah, I feel like when we get these risk-off moves, people kind of de-risk and then buy back into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin usually kind of is the one that people sort of flock to or de-risk into. And then, as we get some clarity, like ETH, Sol, some of these other ones get bid up. I don't know. I don't have like a good sense of the market right now. I feel like we're just in a range bound. ETH 4,500 between 4,000 and 4,500. I don't know. Solana. I think Solana continues to underperform though. I did see an interesting stat that Solana has reached an all-time high with stablecoin flows. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I don't know.
Shelley, it's October 13th. By the end of the month, are we higher in Bitcoin? Yes or no?
I'll make it easy. I'm just going to say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you think Bitcoin leads, or we see a recovery more quickly in some of these other tokens?
I think Bitcoin leads,
Okay.
but not by very much.
Okay. Shelley seems to be a little bit more bullish than Dan, but everybody here leaning on Bitcoin versus alts at this stage. I tend to agree. I think we're higher. I think that we're in a environment. When I look around, right, Bitcoin's just an asset class within a much bigger kind of global macro market. And you look at the rebound here today in equities. The NASDAQ, the Russell. Look at the move in some of these industrials. Look at the move in some of the stuff that's tied to, and for obvious reasons here, given the back and forth on trade, but you look at the move in some of these names tied to rare earth elements, uranium, nuclear power. You're not seeing it so much in things like crude oil or natural gas necessarily, but I think there's just a lot of signs that you're in an environment where you're going to see asset price inflation, and I think relatively speaking, you're going to see an inflection higher in economic growth and to some extent inflation. It's made it tougher with the government being shut down and not getting the data on a regularly scheduled basis as we would otherwise. But I think, my view hasn't changed at all from where we were at the beginning of the month when we were discussing Uptober and what might be behind it and some of the driving forces there. I think you're still in that same environment. There's no change as of right now. It could change, but I think it's one in which you want to be long. And I think that this is an environment where historically, crypto has done well. You might get some chop in the meantime and you kind of rethink things. But it just seems like that's the way that it would play out, right? Of course, it's going to just blow everybody up to just then go on to new all-time highs, and it's going to be very frustrating. And that to me would be kind of the pain trade is higher here after the vol that we just went through. But I do think we're still at that stage in the cycle where you kind of are seeing it play out where it's ETH almost in competition on a relative basis from a performance perspective versus Bitcoin. They're kind of going back and forth, who's going to take the lead. I do think that Bitcoin has to top before you really see that rush into alts and that recovery and ultimately some of the crazier things that could happen. I think that Bitcoin has to top first. At least that's what we've seen historically. And I don't think that it has. I don't think, in my opinion, that 126 is your high in there. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't take some money off of the table when you get to those, the top end of those ranges. The weekly one standard deviation moves in the same way that you might want to wait and patiently buy back if you get near those lows. So I think you still want to trade around these things. But if I just look at the trend in there and kind of where we are in the cycle, I still think you got a little bit of room to run. It's just my opinion. One last slide I want to show, though, guys, just to kind of put some things into to perspective here. We've talked about Uptober, October, Q4, seasonal outperformance at times. You look at the last 10 months, and it's very clear that October and the fourth quarter have been good times to be in the market. But if we zoom in the last 5 years, you get a little bit of a different picture. It's a little bit more mixed, though Q4 and Q1 still have been pretty decent. In fairness, though, I wanted to look at some of the larger drawdowns that we've experienced in the fourth quarter alone over that last 5-year period. So if we're super bullish, Uptober, blah, 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 what could we expect in terms of downside volatility? Like, at least what have we seen historically to put things in perspective? And as you can tell here, quite often, just about every year, right, you get during that fourth quarter period, and sometimes multiple times intra-month, you can see double-digit drawdowns. And if we go to November of 2022, that was your FTX collapse period, and obviously that spilled over into subsequent months. But down 30% in Nov 2022, down 32% in December 21. You go back to the COVID kind of periods there, and clearly, you have some volatility as well. But I just think, again, it's important to remember that as bullish as we might be at times, patience, sometimes it pays off, and you can get those double-digit drawdowns, and we just had one, if only for a moment.
Look alive, everybody.
Is it over?
Nah.
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet. All right, guys, we will leave it at that. Thank you for joining us, and thank you guys for joining me here on the show. We will be back on Wednesday, same time, same place, Tasty Crypto Show, and then back again on Friday with Beans. But until then, if you have a question, you have a comment, you want to hit us up, send us an email, support@tastycrypto.com. Follow us on Twitter @tastycrypto. And maybe most importantly, subscribe to the Tasty Crypto YouTube channel. And also sign up for the newsletter, too. Just do it all, please. We'll be back on Wednesday. Until then, I'm Ryan.
I'm Shelley.
I'm Dan.
Peace.